We had a drone strike in America.
Adam Curry, John C. Dvorak.
It's Sunday, November 11th, 2012. Time for your Gitmo Nation Media Assassination Episode 460.
This is No Agenda.
Striking yet another entry from the Red Book here in the capital of the Drone Star State, Austin, Texas. In the morning, everybody. I'm Adam Curry.
And from northern Silicon Valley, where we seem to get everything right, I'm John C. Dvorak.
It's Craig Blottock and Buzzkill in the morning. Yeah, I think I'm getting laid tonight because of this.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you, it is big news. I might as well go right off the top with it. Alabama finally lost.
I know. Two.
Texas A&M, the Aggies.
That's right, the Aggies. That's right. Tejas all the way, baby.
And that's the big news for the week.
That's right. Glad we checked in, and thank you for joining our Sunday service here at the No Agenda Show, the best podcast in the universe.
My children, it's a Sunday morning service. Tell us it's a No Agenda. We're gonna get some Adam Curry. We're gonna get a little John C. Dvorak. Lord help us out.
That's right. Lord help us out. Now, of course, I refer to our Red Book prediction that former General Petraeus, who was no longer in the military, but was director of the CIA, that he would be out. Now, how long ago did we predict this, John? Just recently, I think.
I can almost find it in here, I think. Hold on.
What's the point of the Red Book if you can't actually find the entries?
It's actually a lot of information in this Red Book.
Oh, okay. All right.
It looks as if...
I think it was 3 weeks ago, maybe?
Oh... I'm flipping through it.
What, we have so much in there, huh?
October 25th, maybe. Get the Wesley Clark thing again.
No.
It's been we did it a couple of times.
Yeah.
For various reasons that were pretty, a lot of it had to do with this Benghazi bull crap.
Do you think this had nothing to do with Benghazi? Is that what you're saying?
No, I said the reason for our predictions.
Oh, okay. All right. So, I think it's pretty obvious.
So they brought in...
I think it's pretty obvious what's going on here, but maybe we should just discuss this since it seems to me, maybe I'm just not understanding it properly, but it seems to me that the mainstream media actually believes that this is because he cheated on his wife. who looks like Roosevelt.
That's a good one.
She looks like Roosevelt, I might add.
There's a problem with his wife, but I think in some funny way it was kind of given away, and Jon Stewart interviewed the woman Broadwell who wrote the book on Petraeus. I'm sorry, this is the best example of a hagiography.
Yes, this is we call that a hajab. So
she gave him a hay job. And
hagiology, hijab. Yeah, exactly.
I have this one clip, and I think this kind of tells it all. Perfect Jon Stewart Broadwell moment.
Exciting. The book is called All In. Now, so the last time I recall a journalist or an author embedded with a person at this level, it was with McChrystal, and it was Rolling Stone, and he got fired. How did they let you? How did Petraeus allow that? Did he know you were there? Were you, hiding? Did he allow this?
I was an insurgent. No.
Yeah. It's funny because I pulled the exact same clip.
How could you miss it?
Yeah. Actually, I let it go on a little bit longer.
Well, you can play the rest. I was going to do that. There's some other stuff in there that's interesting, but I just thought it was just I was an insurgent.
Well, this is...
And, of course...
Go ahead.
I'm sorry.
Oh, well, I was going to say what's interesting is, so first of all, if you really look at video of this woman who is in counterintelligence, sure, she was a reservist, but no one's really talking about the fact that she was in counterintelligence. And counterintelligence are pretty much the scumbag of the earth. And if you look at her, and CIA will tell you this, by the way, and if you look at this woman, she is insane. She's a megalomaniac, insane woman, and I believe she screwed Jon Stewart too, by the way. And I think he's completely compromised because this is the kind of woman that certain men and Petraeus. I mean, she may not even have had sex with him, but Jon Stewart, I can see that she might have intimidated him. She might have sat on top of his head.
Well, she's definitely, there's a couple of clips that I have, including the one that mentions. In fact, here's the one I thought was cool because there's a casual mention of some of the stuff she's done. And this is on ABC. This is the Broadwell ABC casual mention of her being in Black Ops. Mm-hmm. And the way they do it is that she went to high school, and then she was on the soccer team, and she was in Black Ops, and then she went, it's like, what?
Paula Broadwell, lifelong overachiever since high school in North Dakota, where she was valedictorian and homecoming queen, went on to receive honors for academics and leadership at West Point, and was ranked #1 overall in fitness in her class. She spent some time in the Black Ops, got a degree from Harvard, and later became biographer to David Petraeus.
It's like, she was a Nazi sympathizer. She she ate babies, and then she went on to be biographer.
Harvard.
But let me play the clip where Jon Stewart is, and you have to see this video. It's in the show notes, of course, at 460.nashownotes.com. You have to see how she is orchestrating this event, and she's pushing Jon Stewart around, literally.
At the center of a national and international scandal, Dilworth author Paula Broadwell, seen here in pink, reportedly had an affair with...
Seen here in pink. That's part of the clue.
...the CIA director, David Petraeus, which prompted his resignation Friday. We found this video of Broadwell in our archives hosting Memorial Day barbecue in Myers Park for Daily Show host. You see there Jon Stewart, who was in town at the time for the DNC. She appeared on Stewart's show months earlier to talk about the biography she wrote about Petraeus. Now let's go to...
So I think this is the kind of woman, and if you watch that entire Jon Stewart interview, that was in January of this year, and if you take a look at some of the other videos that we have in the show notes, you will see that she is insane, and that she is...
She's insane.
Now, you agree with me, right? You've seen this. I mean,
no, I don't actually. I don't agree.
Oh, come on! You look at this woman, and you're like, oh, okay, but she. She's just the kind of woman that they're around, and they're irresistible. Even for a guy like Petraeus, she's a triathlete. She's got high security clearance.
Right, she runs 6 miles with him.
Yeah, she's smoking hot, and then of course, the guy's Petraeus has been boning. Well, she's been boning him. This is obvious, but that's no. I mean, I know the CIA. In the CIA, there's one thing they will never do, and would never admit to, and there's two things they will always do, and it's part of the culture. The thing that the CIA does not do is drugs. There's no drugs. The agency is, whether it's true or not, they will always protect each other. No, man, there's no drugs. We don't do blow. We don't smoke weed. Alcohol and women, yeah, that they're all over. So this is nothing new for the agency. This is normal business.
Well, the one consideration... Well, why don't you play some of your clips, and I have another kind of an angle that needs to be discussed.
Well, so I was looking for some kind of confirmation that this is... that Petraeus is being blackmailed. He was being... they all black... And I don't think this is the blackmail, but he wanted to get out because this whole Benghazi thing is coming apart at the seams. We've now had the Pentagon release the timeline, which does not... coincide with the White House timeline whatsoever. There's people literally saying we couldn't get to them quick enough. We didn't have enough airplanes. Really?
Well, we've already debunked that a lot,
right? But this is still out here, right? This is still being said.
Well, if you want to go in that direction,
well, let me finish because I got one clip I want to play.
Okay.
So I think that Petraeus was sick and tired of covering up. And of course, he has a lot to do with this. Whether it was weapons that were being smuggled off to Syria, and it coincided with the hostage situation that we have already looked at. I think at the end of the day, 4 out of 5 dentists will agree he was sick and tired of covering up. He didn't want to have to go to the new secret closed door hearing on the Hill, which is coming up this week, and he wanted to get out. He didn't give a crap how, and he was just like, all right, whatever. This is my excuse. And I got some form of confirmation from, of all places, the Larry Kudlow show on CNBC. He has some crazy... I don't know who this guy is. I think he's...
Kudlow, yeah. Well, Kudlow is, I think, I think he was actually arrested for insider trading or something. He's actually a fairly famous,
Well, so the guy would know. It takes one to know one. And he gets some other guy on who has a bow tie and a very effeminate type guy. It's like, I have sources. I'm like, it sounds legit.
I'll bet.
And listen to this.
Timing of this.
I am told by several sources it was not beauty killed the beast, Larry. It was...
Wait, my head whips around, by the way, when I hear it was not beauty killed the beast, Larry. I'm like, okay, this guy's in. He knows.
Benghazi. Mr. Petraeus misled, I'm told, misled an important committee on the Hill, and he did not want to return to that committee as director of the Central Intelligence.
So you're saying that the extramarital affair is not the reason. It's the reason he's cited. But you're saying, in fact, that's not the case? Because, as you know, there's a whole history of these things in spy circles and secret services and blackmail and all the rest of it. You're saying that ain't what happened.
I'm surprised at the timing, and the timing tells us a deal. I'm told, Larry, this is my best information, that Mr. Petraeus has been under pressure from the White House to maintain the narrative which continues to deteriorate about Benghazi, especially that line about the hateful video. Mr. Petraeus knew that there was something that could be played against him if he did not go along, I'm told. And therefore, Friday afternoon, he walks out, he cites an affair that everyone in Washington shrugs at. And that tells me, Larry, that Petraeus has gotten out of the line of fire, and his assistant, Mike Morrell, will now have to maintain the White House's narrative or comply with the committee's demands to get the facts.
So before we get to what you want to bring up here, John, just let me run through a couple of things that we have touched on. I've just made a little summation of some of the facts. First of all, we have a war in general on the military from the Obama White House. We have Rear Admiral Gaut, who was taken down, Carter Ham, Brigadier General Sinclair, Navy Commander Joseph Darlak. The same time, we have the new CEO of Lockheed resigning, also over an inappropriate affair. And these things I don't think are disconnected. Then we have, indeed, the new guy, or the replacement guy, Mike Morrell, already announced he will be testifying in the closed-door sessions in Congress instead of Petraeus. So there's a couple of things that all point towards a huge, massive cover-up. And luckily we have CNN to focus on the guy's penis. It's just amazing how our news media works.
Do a search on, this is not where I'm headed, by the way, but while you're looking at weird stuff, you have to do a search on Petraeus Paperclip.
You mean Operation Paperclip?
Yeah.
Well, Operation Paperclip is very famous.
Well, that's the search.
Marine links Petraeus to sisters, that's the top hit. Hold on. To sister's pedophile Paperclip? What? Is this what you're looking for?
There's a whole bunch of these things.
Oh, my goodness. Well, what was Operation Paperclip? Wasn't Operation Paperclip where they brought in Nazis after the Second World War to come and work for the states?
No, this is something else. This is some sort of pedophile ring. And if you put in Valerie Jarrett's name into the search, it gets even more interesting.
Hold on a second. Wait a minute. No. Wait a minute.
Yeah, this is right up your alley. I'm surprised you didn't stumble on this one.
How come you're only telling me this now?
Because I for one thing, I don't think it's the mainstream of inquiry that we're having. But I think as an aside, I thought I'd blow your mind.
No, sufficiently blown. Hello. Marine links Petraeus to sister. Let me see. To sister's pedophile Paperclip entrapment with Jarrett. United States Marine... No, let me just read this for a second. This is crazy. Who gave you this? Buzzkill Jr.?
Nope. I got this one on my own by doing some really wild searches.
Wow. United States Marine Field McConnell was linked today to today's announcement of the resignation of CI Director Petraeus to the Able Danger research. I know about that, which has exposed his sister, Christine Marcy's apparent deployment of FEMCOM 4 C4 agents in the DOJ Pride pedophile paperclip entrapment service, and Valerie Jarrett's use of same-sex pedophile pimps in the White House Council of Women and Girls. Hello, everybody. This is Obama Nation for you. I love it. John, this actually crashed my browser. I have to restart Chrome after trying to get to this page. What is it? Does it have all kinds of advertisements for guns and water filtration systems?
It's pretty off the wall.
Oh my goodness. Wow. And I was gonna blow your mind with my CIA time travel theory, but I'm gonna hold back on that one. Okay, so I will look at that while you take us down a different path.
Okay, let me get back to where I was. Unfortunately, I had to go find this again. Couple of things. One, I came across, one of the guys that always shows up as our buddy, and you recognize him by his voice. He's that guy who was once in the CIA and ran the Bin Laden.
Oh, wait, the guy with the beard and what's his name?
Scheuer.
Yeah, that's his name. Right. Do you have a clip? Where is it? Where's it? Oh, here it is. I see.
Play this clip, and it kind of gives you, I believe, Scheuer, who still thinks he works for the agency. And maybe he still does.
Campaigns in Iraq and Afghanistan and praised his outstanding service. For more on this departure, I'm joined now by former CIA officer Michael Scheuer. Michael, just how much of a shock was this?
Oh, I think it was pretty much a surprise. The General Petraeus, as far as I know from people who still work there, was very well thought of at the agency. Was certainly a defender of the agency, and several weeks ago he made it very clear after the attack in Benghazi that no one at the agency prevented the assistance going to the men who were under attack in Benghazi in Libya, which I think was as close as he could come to saying that it was the White House that stopped the help going to those people who eventually died.
Now, it's interesting, isn't it, because his resignation comes just ahead of hearings on Benghazi, so it's very politically sensitive, isn't it, the timing?
It's a very peculiar thing, yes, ma'am, that he was scheduled to testify, I believe, under oath next Thursday with other people from the intelligence community about exactly why no assistance was sent to those people, even though we kind of watched and listened to the attack on them for almost 7 hours.
Now, how pivotal a figure was General Petraeus in President Obama's administration?
Well, I think he was an important figure, not only in the administration, but for the country and for our allies, because he and his predecessor, Mr. Panetta, were not willing to toe the Obama administration's line about the danger from, or the lack of danger, according to the president and his advisors, from militant Islam. Killing Osama bin Laden was a great thing to have done, but if you look at the map, the threat is much broader, much deeper, much more geographically dispersed. And the president plays it down consistently. General Petraeus and Mr. Panetta would not do that. So I think the real danger now lies in the president will probably try to find a yes man to send over to the agency, so he has one less thing to worry about as he promotes the narrative of increasingly peaceful relations with the Muslim world.
So who are the contenders, do you think, for that job?
Well, the ideal contender for the president's, from the president's viewpoint, is his terrorism czar, John Brennan, who has followed in lockstep with the deceit Mr. Obama has foisted on the American people about the threat from the Islamic militants, and really spectacularly misled Americans early in the first administration when he said the word jihad has nothing to do with military affairs. It has to do with self-reform and community improvement, which was a blatant lie, and is a blatant lie. So I think he would be the perfect person for Obama, but when he was at the agency, he was singularly disliked as an individual.
And let's not overlook the fact that there is this ongoing intelligence war where, of course, the FBI is now implicated in blowing this wide open because they were snooping on the director of the CIA's email. These things, this is not light. This is big, big, big stuff.
Yeah, there's the whole thing reeks of spy versus spy.
Yeah.
With different intelligence agencies trying to get the goods on somebody, or they're checking in on, or that White House even, who knows, is checking in on Petraeus to see what he's up to, because this testimony was coming up. I went to a bunch of the very interesting lie detector forums that seem to be centered on discussing what the CIA asks. And there was a long discussion that there's no way that Petraeus didn't have this affair when he got the job, and then the CIA would have known about it. But because there is no zero rules against having extramarital affairs, according to the forums, they just wouldn't care. But it was a known fact that apparently once Obama got a hold of it, supposedly, it was a card they could pull at any time to get him out of the loop and out of the office, so they can don't have to worry about him testifying. But I think the more interesting character that needs to be looked at is Vernon Loeb, who's completely ignored in all the stories. Nobody's mentioned him.
Who is talk about Vernon Loeb?
Vernon Loeb is the real author of the Petraeus hagiography.
Right. He's the he's listed as what does it say? It says Paula Broadwell with Vernon Loeb underneath, right? That's how these things are. What was she doing? Was she just distracting him while he was writing it? How does that work in author world?
Well, it's kind of weird because it seems as if Vernon Loeb could do a book like this himself, but I guess he didn't have access. Now, Vernon Loeb, and we've talked about the Washington Post a lot over the years. They have a number of CIA plants, including the biggest one of all, which is very well discussed in the book about the Bushes.
The Family of Secrets.
Family of Secrets, and it's well documented that Woodward came from Navy intelligence, I believe, and they worked him into this position of taking down Nixon and then becoming the go-to guy for writing any piece of propaganda that you want. So anyway, the Vernon Loeb looks like a similar character, and when you see him, actually, he looks like a mix between a spook and an editor, because he's got that kind of crazy editor look. He wrote a column right before the Iraqi War called Intelligentsia.
Right.
Get it?
Right.
And that column was in and out of the paper, and he's a columnist that somehow moved up from and I don't know that this has ever happened before, but nobody takes a columnist and makes him the Metro editor, which is what he is now.
Mm-hmm.
It's usually as associate editors. Editors go up their own. They have a track, and the writers have a track. Generally speaking, a columnist would not become an editor. It's usually the other way around. Editors always want to become columnists. But anyway, so he's the Metro editor. And he was, I don't know, if you're the Metro editor of a major metropolitan daily, let's say like the Washington Post, a major magazine, a major newspaper, you don't have time to write a book on the side. Somebody else has to write it for you.
Right.
So I think there's another writer involved, like probably the agency itself or whatever. Whatever the case was, he seemed to be the handler, or he had something to do with keeping an eye on her or protecting her flank. I have no idea specifically, but he is somehow involved in the book, and he's given most of amongst writers, if it's